Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Burley, and this is
Golden Farnsworth.
welcome to the Southern Spotlight Show. This is our first ever Southern Spotlight Show. And what we're going to do today is honestly just show our passion, show our love for our teams. Obviously, you can see the clash between us, Tennessee and Florida. But truthfully, we are just going to honestly be very biased about what we talk about. Not gonna lie, but we're also going to bring some excitement to it. Um, I am a sports communication journalist. I That's what I'm studying. That's my degree, and I want to be big. Truthfully, I think this is a good start by starting our podcast. And that's just something little about myself. And truthfully, with this podcast, I hope that you guys feel entertained. I hope you guys want show some action into this, and you know, be in the comment section. Tell us what you feel about what we say today, because truthfully, it's all about us just having some fun, but getting you guys some good facts and information about what we talk about.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a Florida fan. We are gonna clash here on this show, but we are also gonna come together on Atlanta sports. Um, yeah, that orange is nasty, bro. But yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. So we had an idea since our name is called the Southern Spotlight. We were going to highlight a certain player every week or certain players because we do have two players for this week. Um, in something called the Player Spotlight. So that I thought that was something that our channel could do differently than others to make our channel pretty special. So let's get right into the first player.
If there's anybody I got to start with for my balls, it's not Nico. It's not James Pierce. It's Dante Thornton Jr. Okay, Dante Thornton Jr. personally is just some player that I think is going to take a huge step by the end of this year for Tennessee. But truthfully, let's get deep into it because we're gonna not just talk about his stats. We're gonna talk about who Dante Thornton is. How did he get to this spot? And what do you see what he's gonna do in the future? Okay. And Dante Thornton, to describe him first, he's a big receiver. He doesn't even play like his height. 6'5". You expect one of those type of receivers to honestly be a bigger, stronger receiver, play bully ball, but he's gonna blow by you. Okay. If it's your best corner, he's blowing by you and he's taking it to the crib. Okay. Very fast, deep vertical threat. If we gotta compare him to honestly some NFL receivers, it would be Mike Evans, Alan Lazard. But I think he could be a Jameson Williams. Very, 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 very big Jameson Williams comparison because I think that he can be that guy. And I think it's because he's a deep vertical threat. And I think it's because he's first off a big playmaker. He's a big time playmaker. Go back to the Tennessee game, um, big touchdown. Go back to the Chattanooga game when he had multiple touchdowns. Just a scary person to guard. Now, where did Dante come from? Dante Thornton. He is from Baltimore, Maryland. Born in November 30th, 2002. His height, 6'5", 214 pounds, as we mentioned. But Dante went to Mount St. Joseph High School, and his 40-yard dash, 4.6. I mean, you can tell the guy's just quick. But it started off when he was running track. He ran track in high school. That was his other sport. And then he played football, obviously. Dante had 28 offers coming to college, and he chose Oregon. And his stats, Dante's stats at Oregon was actually 26 catches, 541 yards, 3 TDs, and that was in a total of 37 games. But the thing about it is, you look at it, it's like, man, that's not that crazy. He was there for 2 years at Oregon. Where's his stats at? Well, he didn't get much playing time, and that just caused him to want to get in the transfer portal. And now let's see those Tennessee Vols, and look at what he's doing right now, guys. I mean, Dante's got 242 total yards right now with 3 TDs, 7 catches, 34.6 yards per catch. I mean, gosh, that's an average, y'all. That's an average. As longest catch this year was 66 yards. But just taking a big step from where he was, 242 yards. I mean, that's almost half of what he had at Oregon in 2 years, almost. Um, and then stats wise at high school, from before he got here, he actually had 1,000 yards, 881 yards, 26 TDs, 78 catches, and he was a four-star recruit. So if we mention his stats in high school, you can see the potential what he could bring into college, and that's where that 4-star recruit came in. And now he's a senior and he's making big plays. Career wise, Dante has been played 38 games, 46 catches, 1,007 yards, 21.9 average yards per catch. I mean, goodness, and 7 TDs. His strength is going to be vertical threat, size, speed, and his work ethic. Starting from not being playing as much in college at Oregon, and now coming to Tennessee, just being a dominant receiver, guys. Uh, Dominant. I mean, for Dante Thornton, I believe his expectations. Um, I believe that he wants to be one of the most known receivers by the end of the year. But what I believe he's going to finish with is I think he's going to have at least 11 TDs and 1,100 yards by the end of the year. I think Dante Thornton is going to be a stud. He's going to be notified, and he's going to be a future NFL wide receiver.
You're asking a lot from a dude who only had 541 yards in 2 years. But I know a certain guy who's on the Florida Gators that's very consistent. His name just so happens to be Montrell Johnson. He is now number one, as I'm wearing. He's a senior, so he's a leader. And he's someone that Billy trusts in. He's the backbone of this Florida team. He's a leader. Like I said, he's a senior. He got the running back one role after ETN decided to snake us and go to Georgia. I'll never forgive him for that. Montrell came over with Sunbelt Billy from Louisiana back in 22. Sunbelt Billy. So everyone calls him because he can't win in the SEC. It's simple as that. But we'll get to him after. Montrell was the freshman of the year for the Sun Belt Conference back in 2021. He's 5'11", 215 pounds, so he's pretty heavy for his size. He's a big bruising back who I would compare to Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders in the NFL, who was also from the SEC, coming from Alabama. Obviously, Johnson is a Southern dude. These Southern backs are big dudes like Leonard Fournette coming from Louisiana as well. But he's got the IQ. And I compare him to Alvin Kamara in his running style at times. He waits for his blocks to develop, and then he bursts through the gap. He's not the quickest dude. That's definitely not one of his strengths, but his vision is definitely there. And he can break tackles because he's a big dude. But once he gets in that open field, yeah, it's not going to be fireworks every single time. He's going to act as Derrick Henry in the open field and throw a stiff arm. Be big. But yeah, he's not going to take it to the crib every single time when he gets in the open field like he did against Miami for 71 yards. Obviously, that didn't matter in the end. But yeah, Montrell Johnson is a consistent dude. He's averaged 800 yards 3 straight seasons. So he's someone that Billy can just count upon to be reliable at any given moment in the game. And I believe that's just what he's going to continue to do. He's just a consistent guy and someone that you can always count on. But enough about him. We're going to go ahead and get into our game this past week, which was against a bottom feeder in the SEC, Mississippi State. So they're worse than us, and that's saying a lot. They didn't play as bad as I thought they would, though. We really didn't beat them stats wise as much as we did on the scoreboard. We totaled 503 yards. We both had a turnover apiece. They had more first downs than us. They had the ball longer than us, and they completed more third downs. So it wasn't a convincing win. It was just a win that Florida needed to get unless they want to have an absolute embarrassment of a season. Graham Mertz played amazing. He played more like he played last year. Mertz was actually really good last year, very underrated player. He was 19 of 21, 201 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And if he continues to play like that, I think Billy's, got a good quarterback to work with. But see how much that offense can do this season. Obviously, you've got DJ Lagway backing him up. And at times, he's been in the game more. He started against Samford, but I don't know if they're going to play him as the starter the rest of the season because the schedule we've got coming up is pretty brutal. We've got UCF, obviously, this next week. We've got a bye week. Then we've got UCF on the 5th of October playing against KJ Jefferson and the Knights. He's a transfer quarterback from Arkansas. I'm expecting that to be a really close game. I think they're only like 5.5 point underdogs in that game. So this is gonna be a close game. Honestly, it's gonna be an upset. If it is, I'd really be worried for Billy Napier and his job.
That was something I was gonna ask you. What are we feeling about Billy's status? His coaching status right now, because obviously just a rough start for Florida to start. And truthfully, I just want to know, how do you feel Billy Napier is going to finish this year, especially with this schedule left over. But I mean, does he lose his job if he loses UCF?
Well, that's something that you're gonna have to ask the Florida management because I can't tell you for sure that if he loses this game, me personally, if I was his boss, I'm firing him because you can't lose 3 straight games in the swamp in a season. I mean, we could talk about last year, how many games he's lost, but that's besides the point. He's already lost to Texas A&M. He's already lost to Miami. If he loses to UCF, I mean, personally, yes, I think he's got to go. But yeah, since his tenure here, he's been 5-7 last year, 6-7 in 2022. That was with a great quarterback and a top 5 pick. So yeah, I mean, if you can't win more than 6 games and barely make a bowl game with a top 5 pick, especially a quarterback, there's going to be questions. He signed a huge 7-year, $51.8 million deal. So yeah, we're just throwing money down the drain. He's 13-16 at Florida. And I think that his biggest issue on offense is just being too stagnant and not allowing them to really be creative. And he's got creative players. He's got good players. Florida doesn't have bad talent on the roster, but he just doesn't know how to use it. And that's led to some terrible losses, such as losing on the road at Vanderbilt. That's just something you don't do in the SEC. Vanderbilt's supposed to be a free win every single year, and they weren't that year. He also lost at home versus Will Levis in Kentucky, which was really a brutal stab in the heart for me. He has had a couple of good wins though. Number 10 Utah to start the season back in 22 with Anthony Richardson, and then last year when they dismantled Tennessee at home against Joe Milton. Um, but yeah, I think that the main thing with Billy has been his recruiting. Um, he lost a 5-star quarterback. He obviously got one, but he lost a 5-star quarterback in Jaden Rashada. He was committed. I think he was like really committed. He wanted to play on the Florida team, and then at the last second, he goes to the Pac-12 and joins Arizona State. That's just losing somebody to the Pac-12 in football when you're an SEC coach is just not something you do. But he made up for it in getting DJ Lagway, and I think that's the only reason he's still here. I think as long as Lagway's around, then he's got a way to continue to keep his job. Um, but yeah, I think Lagway's obviously going to be a starter next year, so I think they might hold on to Billy even until next year. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how our record is as this year goes on. But for now, I think as long as there's a Lagway, there is a way for him.
Florida fans, as you guys are watching, there's a lot of hope in this guy. I don't think he believes in Billy, but that sounded like a lot of hope. We're bringing phrases. As long as there is a way, as long as Lagway, there is a way. I mean, beautiful rhyme, beautiful rhyme. But you know, one thing us Tennessee fans don't have to worry about is I know a team, y'all. I know a team that is going to play hard for their coach. That is going to. They knew what this game meant for Josh Heupel, right? They knew what this meant. And if we just bring up the stats for the Tennessee game in Oklahoma, let's just talk about it. Tennessee had a total of 345 total yards, and Oklahoma had 222 yards. Um, third downs is definitely an issue for Tennessee, but they ended up running the ball a lot in that second half, and I think it's just because we really just honestly respected. Um, we really believe in our defense. We really believe in our defense. Josh Heupel, and I don't think he's ever had this before. He hasn't had this before while coaching. Um, top five, top guys, top five defense, y'all. His brand of football either. It is now. We're in the SEC. We're in the SEC. He's an offensive coach. You want to know, guys? You want to know what else is not Josh Heupel's brand of coaching? 35-41 possession to Oklahoma's 24-19. That is what you call SEC grown man football, y'all. We control the time possession against Oklahoma. And Tennessee never does that. It's usually flipped because we're just scoring so fast, but we're dominating so much on both sides of the field that we just took the second half and just honestly just clocked it. And Oklahoma just didn't have enough time to come back and fight. Nico had 2 fumbles. Okay. He had 2 fumbles, and that's okay. Right. He's a freshman and he's going to make mistakes. And he's going to continue to make mistakes. That's fine. But he had a total of 194 passing yards, 1 TD, 62.1 QBR. We want that to improve a little bit more, but we're working through it. Okay. We believe in Nico, guys. We believe in man. And it goes back to it because 21 passing attempts. You're going to see more, guys. You're going to see more against Arkansas. You're going to see more against those Gators. You're going to see more passing attempts. But when you got a freshman and you see him getting hit, That's when you lean on the run game. 48 carries for Tennessee. Dylan Sampson ran the ball 24 times, 92 yards, 1 TD. Brew McCoy, 4 catches, 92 yards. And our boy Dante throwing with 2 catches, 73, 1 TD. Remember that name by the end of the year, y'all. Um, and now looking at the schedule, going on a bye week, Tennessee has not proven that they're a great road team, even with the win against Oklahoma. There's a lot of things where we just needed to we didn't show that we were dominating on it. So we were dominating on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, Tennessee has just been struggling on the road. Okay. And we didn't have our offensive linemen, starting offensive linemen. That's true. But at the same time, we got to counter and we got to be able to do other things to show that we are dominant on the offensive side on the road. We got Florida coming up, got Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, and Vanderbilt. There's a lot of games there that are winnable games. I see a lot of winnable games on that. I think it is a tough schedule. Arkansas is no step over. Florida has never been a step over for us guys. We just don't really beat Florida. But now we got a new culture. I didn't admit it. I just said we haven't. We got a new culture. We got a new culture in Knoxville. And Billy will be gone probably before he comes to Knoxville, right? And so Bama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, right? You got to go on a streak, okay? If you win your next 5 out of your 6, you're in the playoffs. You're already in the playoffs. But 5 out of 6, you're looking at a good seed and possibly being in the SEC championship. So really, really excited about Tennessee's upcoming season. And but guys, one thing we are going to do, we want you guys to come up, talk in the comment section, and say your expectations for Florida, your expectations for Tennessee when we bring up the schedule. Tell us what your prediction is for their record for the season. Is Billy going to get fired by next week? Is Tennessee going to dominate Florida? Is Tennessee going to beat Georgia or Alabama? Let us know what you think, okay? Because we want to hear it. We want to hear every minute of it. But there's also we're doing player spotlight, but one thing we're also going to do when we do these segments and these shows, we're going to do the game of the week for next week. And I'm going to let Golden cover this, and it's going to be over Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer here. Georgia and Alabama is the game of the week. Obviously, every single year, this is the game that everyone looks forward to in the SEC. And yeah, so last year, Bama pulled it out in the SEC championship with behind Jalen Milroe and his bunch of rushes because he killed them on the ground. And I think that's one big thing that's going to be a factor this season is both quarterbacks. I think Milroe is going to have to use his legs like he usually does against a tough Georgia defense. But if you like your Tennessee offense, who's 4th in the country, Bama is tied with them for 4th in the country. So, yeah, Milroe currently has the 3rd lowest odds to win Heisman. He's right behind Dart and Ward. And just like I said last year, he won the game on the ground. I think he's gonna have to do it again. In the last matchup against Wisconsin, he carried the ball 14 times. He's been carrying the ball just as much as their running back. I mean, I guess you could compare him to Lamar Jackson, call him a running back. But yeah, he'll be facing a team that's 27th this season in defense, total defense. So Georgia's not as good as they have been in past seasons, and I've seen it firsthand. I was in Lexington, Kentucky, watching that game. They won by 1 point. They had to go to ETN to keep them alive. Obviously, the Florida Gator keeping Georgia alive. But yeah, they're not the same team. Their offense is nowhere near as good. They're ranked 81st in the country. Georgia Bulldogs offense. That's what happens when you lose Brock Bowers, a tight end talent like that. Lad McConkey, exactly. So they're going to be facing a team that both teams are top 12 in defense. So I think it's really going to be up to the offenses to step up. And who do I trust more in the situation? It's going to be number 4 in Alabama, Jalen Milroe. I think he's going to get it on the ground. And I think that he's going to beat Georgia on his feet again. Kalen DeBoer coming in his first year, beating Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs, snapping their 28-game regular season winning streak on the 28th of the month. Fun fact. Probably going to be the game of the season.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, baby. Don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
All right, listen. Let's. What was your score prediction for that?
For Bama?
Yeah.
Probably have it in the 20s again. It'll probably be like 27-20 or something like that, somewhere in the 20s.
All right. I did some research about Georgia and Alabama. Okay, I think Alabama has, had their ups and downs. So has Georgia, right? But guys, anytime Kirby Smart has came fresh off a bye week or a break, a week after a bad game, he's won 21 straight games. That his last loss during that streak was in the Sugar Bowl in 2018 versus Texas. Guys, Kirby Smart is a winner. But, Jalen Milroe, this is in Tuscaloosa. I think this is going to be a battle, y'all. A big, big battle. And Bama's got a winning record lately versus Kirby. But that was Nick Saban. Is Kalen DeBoer? Is he gonna take over the Nick Saban role? Is he going to win this game? Because let's be honest, this is going to be a coaching battle. This is not going to be what team has more talent. Because let's be honest, they both got a lot of talent. We're not going to come out here and say, oh, they got more talent than the other team. This is going to be a coaching battle. Who's a better coach? Who's a better coach?
Kalen DeBoer's got a great record in college. That's all
He's got a great record, but
he took the Huskies to the national championship last year
with our boy Michael Penix.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, all right. I'm gonna give my score prediction, all right, and I'm gonna go Bama 23 and Georgia Bulldogs 31.
No.
31. Kirby's
that
gonna
offense
keep
is
that
putting up
streak to 22 games, y'all. 22 games for Kirby, and I truly believe that they're gonna keep on dominating. We're gonna continue this, guys, of talking about Tennessee and Florida and previewing the games. And for our Atlanta fans, we got a show coming up. We're gonna preview the Saints and Falcons game. We're gonna also talk about the Chiefs and Atlanta Falcons disaster. And the Braves. Braves just won yesterday. We got a game tonight. Oh, but yes. So thank you guys for watching the show, and shoot, go Balls.